Thank you. Yeah, I have a few. I've heard, I'll make a short story long, but we played Max's Kansas City in New York, and I flew back to Memphis to see Joni Mitchell at the auditorium. Because I thought he had tickets, and flew back into Boston. And what I guess you may not know is we had the van, we had the trailer, and my drums were in the trailer. And they disconnected the trailer, and that's that, and took the van. So I still have that drum kit. I think it's called Good Karma or something.
Yes. The nice guy always wins.
What world do you live in?
Yeah, I do remember that Boston show. My aunt and uncle, Dan and Bree Sullivan, are here. And they were at that show, the performance center, the first show, unfortunately. And I think it was troublesome, one, maybe because it, was a new environment and a new stage, and monitor systems are all different, and certainly the new equipment. It was that first show was a nice rehearsal and kind of set us up and warmed us up for the second show. So there were a lot of things at play. And remember Badfinger, and I remember particularly odd was I don't think any one of us met any of the Badfinger members, and we were all big fans of theirs. Maybe I was a little nervous about it or unsettled about doing that. It may have been on another floor of dressing rooms, and so it may have seemed like an intrusion if we walked into their dressing room. I don't know. Our paths never crossed, really.
Well, Jody, I have to give you a copy of the recording I have of that first set because, I was expecting something, cringeworthy, but it's actually really pretty damn good. And I sent a copy to John Lightman, and he emailed me back like, "Wow, we actually sounded pretty good in that first set."
It's not as bad as I remembered it. I heard that.
So you heard it too, right?
Yeah. But the second, again,
I wish we could have heard the second set. And of course, nobody was there to see you guys play this amazing set, so that's so typical. Right?
Yeah, having that show under our belt, it helps.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's so interesting because there was that really brief period that, the original Big Star played just a very few shows with Chris Bell, and I was really hoping this guy Clark Marty was hoping to be here tonight, who actually saw you guys. He lives up in Cape Cod now, and he's a drummer. But he saw you guys play that park in New Orleans, that political rally. Remember, I see the clippings from the newspaper.
Park, yeah, I remember. I don't remember a whole lot about that, other than I had my first mixed drink there in New Orleans. The drinking age was 18. Prior to I guess the national drinking age being lowered to 18 for the baby boomers. I ordered a rusty nail. And I thought, that sounds pretty cool. Scotch and Drambuie.
I can remember, right?
It was horrific. But Broussard's, I think, is where we went to dinner because Stax was paying for it. And Andy Hummel's dad's recommendation, because he was a big food guy and big wine guy. And so that was great. We stayed at the Pavilion Hotel. It was, that was 73?
Yeah, I think
72?
I think it was 72.
72, I was still probably 19.
Yeah.
During that part of 72, turned 20 in October of that year. But, so, it was kind of cool being that young and out there at this neat restaurant.
Plus, they were actually filmed for the local New Orleans TV station for the news that night because they were the first. Alex, of course, being they filmed us because we were the first band on. But like at that point, no one had heard of Big Star at all. The record had just come out, and then there was a photo of you guys playing that was in the Times-Picayune as well on the front.
Yeah, that was a kind of a distant photo, so you couldn't really see us.
But you had to name the caption, though.
And I wish we had that recording. That would have been interesting. I remember the first song, first note that I hit broke my bass drum pedal. So that first song was without a bass drum. I was at least trying to kick it. And then John Vander jumped up and we fixed the pedal. And the rest of the set, I don't know, I remember it being really good. We did some acoustic things.
Yeah, I think, according to my research, and again, it's like doing a biography, it's kind of like the film Rashomon. There could be 3 people that were in the same room at the same time and remember it differently, just like that Cleveland show we talked about.
Ask me about this next week and I'll probably tell you a different story.
But I know there's a way about with everything. If you think about your own life, it's like that. But then I think you guys played these weird like tourist towns in Arkansas too, like Mountain View, Arkansas.
And we did Hot Springs. We played Hot Springs, a little festival there. And I can barely remember. We played this tour that Andy dubbed the BC tour, because it was Athens, and at one point I thought it was Athens, Georgia, but it was Athens, Alabama, and it was Athens College, because somebody just sent me a picture of the 4 of us on stage. Chris was still in the band, and yeah, it's the only photo I know of where you can actually see us and who we are, and we're all 4 on stage. So that was sort of an eye-opener, and it kind of made sense, because Athens, Georgia would have been a really long drive. And we were all in a band. There was a band that opened for us, Buddy Davis and Mario Spensner, and maybe Steve Freeze was playing drums. I think they were called Target. It's kind of an early version of Target. We all traveled in the same band together, and I don't remember there being any seats other than the driver's seat and the passenger seat. So we all sat around the inside of the truck, leaning against the wall.
And then, of course, Jody's good luck charm continued when he was the only member of the band not to have a fateful thing happen after playing in Oxford, Mississippi.
Oh,
you guys were driving back to Memphis after playing a gig in Oxford, and you want to tell about that story?
Yeah, we played Ole Miss, and we played the gig, and I don't really remember much about the gig. And it was my turn to drive back in the equipment truck, and I don't remember being too happy about that, because I thought, we're a band, we should travel as a band, and have that time to talk. Which was kind of rare with that band, but Alex's girlfriend Vera had come, so I think Andy drove down with John Dando in the equipment truck, and then I was riding back with John and Dando, and Andy, and maybe it was Vera's car? Whose car was it?
I think it was Vera's car.
Vera's car.
Yeah, because she got bumped,
I guess, and so Andy, Vera, and Alex, and Chris all stopped off somewhere maybe it was a little restaurant to get some food to go, I'm not quite sure, and Vera had bought a bottle of Coke or Pepsi or something, and asked Andy for a bottle opener, and I think Andy had one of those little Swiss Army knives or something. They had a bottle opener on it, and he handed it to her. And for some reason, I think one of the servers there thought he had handed her a syringe. And so they got what they needed and left, and then they got pulled over by the cops, and there was a lit a pot in the car. And
so they spent the night in jail in Mississippi.
And it was $1,500 each. John Fry and Chris Bell's dad, Vernon Bell, all went down and kind of negotiated it. But my parents, one, I didn't smoke pot. And two, it's $1,500 was a lot of money to my parents.
And I think, Chris Bell was already getting from what I understand, was getting very disenfranchised with the whole lack of success of the first album, and then, of course, how the press is, they were picking up a lot on, Alex having been the lead singer of the Box Tops, so they were singling him a lot out in the reviews, and Chris Bell had actually started Big Star really before, Alex joined the band. So between that and then spending the night in jail in Mississippi, I think, from what I understand, that was one of the last straws, and he was just getting a little freaked out doing other things too, and just quit the band not long after that, I think.
Here's another, I could see how Chris would be disenchanted with all that. The live dates were I forget who booked them, and actually that was a good gig at Ole Miss, and there were some others. They were few and far between because, one, we couldn't really get a proper booking agent interested in this, too, or a proper manager. But, so they're off in Brio's car coming back from the Ole Miss gig, and I'm with John Dando, and we travel down the highway to the entrance to the expressway on the 55, and we're in this truck, and there's this handle that you would pull, and it would open the doors, and then you kind of walk down a couple of steps and then out onto the pavement. Well, we stopped to get gas there, and John Dando had a little Band-Aid box of pot, and you know, those little metal containers. And he opened the door, and it knocks this little Band-Aid box off, and it rolls down the stairs, and then out, you know, pot spills out along with its rolling papers, I guess. And I'm thinking, oh my God, you know, we're in Mississippi, and you know, this. In mind, I had long hair too, and that was. You were always a target when you had long hair back then, and
Especially in the South.
you drew attention. Yeah. So, but you know, he walked down casually, being the calm guy that he always was, and put it all, you know, scraped it all back into the box and put it back up into the van, and we got our gas and we were on our way.
Well, saved again.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we should hear some music.
God.
And remember why, you know, the music saved the day, right? So, and all those things, all those sacrifices you guys made to give us this great music. Thank you so much. Jody, thank you.
You know, it's not really sacrifices. We were having a good time. And you know, you're just in pursuit of what you enjoy doing, so it's not what I think of as a sacrifice.
Well, we're glad that you're here, Jody, with us to bear witness because you're the last man standing of the band.
The last original member. Yeah, there's John and Ken.
Yeah. Well, of course, John Elwer and Ken Stringfellow, of course. And of course, that version of Big Star lasted, what, like 4 times longer than the original or something like that, right?
17 years.
Yeah, so pretty. So I'm hoping a lot of you guys got to see those shows. Those were some really great shows.
Oh, the original Big Star? I don't know, it's in a book somewhere. It's in Rob Javanovic's book.
Yeah, there's a book that's just on Big Star, and a new edition came out a couple of years ago, and he's got, I think, a tourography in the back that lists every Big Star show in there, so you could... Yeah.
Not the original band.
Yeah, the original band was less than a dozen, I think. You know, a dozen or less. And with Chris Bell, I think there was only maybe like 4 or 5 shows, I think, from what I can.
There's a live performance.
Right, well.
There's a live performance that's included with a box set, and that's from a show at Lafayette in Memphis, and you were opening for Archie Bell and the Drells.
Tighten up.
Which is a stretch. But you know, there wasn't a Big Star fan in the audience. And we finished the song and like one person would clap. That's why you probably don't hear much after the song ends.
And there's that other live one too that I think it was Norton put it out a few years ago of you guys playing the band show in Memphis. It's called You Can't Dance, and you know, like talk about a buzzkill. Big Star's getting ready to come on, and you know, a policeman at the beginning goes, "There will be no dancing allowed at this concert. If you're planning," and this is an outdoor show. It's like, if you're planning to dance, well, just sit down because you can't dance. There can be no dancing. You know, you're the Big Star. You know, what a great way to come on, right? Anyway, another great
Next was
show.
a good album title.
Yes, right.